This is a demonstration of entering a new order into LabEntry's cloud-based LIS. This is the main screen, the login screen for our demo system. So you'll see that there's an online help option and sometimes an online help document. In this case, the online help document is a slideshow on the workflow, which happens to be relevant here because we are going to be using one of these roles, the first one, client, which is a user outside the lab as opposed to inside lab personnel. This is the system being used as a portal by customers. And what we're going to do is order entry, which will be paperless in this case because we as the client are going to use the UI to enter a pre-order. It's a pre-order in that the lab has to release it or approve it after making sure that the order is complete and can be fulfilled. So we're going to log in as the mythical client 2. This belongs to an organization called Test Client. Takes us to the main screen, the current screen, which also has its own pop-up help. This talks about these status meters. That's a quarter, that's a half, and that's completely done. And this shows us notes. Someone didn't enter an interesting note there. These are other pre-orders that have been entered but not yet released. And there's a note from a client to the lab which will not be part of the report unless somebody explicitly adds it. So we're going to have a new order. Here's what we're entering. That we can't change the client. We can't change the organization we're from because that's part of our login. Then we can use whatever test order ID the lab tends to use. The order data set for us. We choose one of the options that the lab has defined as a clinical indication for doing the test. For the ordering clinician, we can choose anyone who's on the American National Provider ID database because we take the monthly updates and load them into our system. So we could look up, pick a common name, say Ortiz Juan, and there are many, so let's pick someone who has a fax number just to show that populates, and then we'll use this clinician, and then it fills in for us. Then we need to identify the patient, and if the patient's already known to the system, we can just use the patient ID or the name to do a lookup. And if we're entering someone we're pretty sure is new, we use the client's patient ID because we want to report back to them on the same ID that they gave us. And we'll pick something simple. Doe, Jane, female, 2005. Then we'll just confirm that this is new. And it is, so it will be created. And then we choose one between 1 and 10 assays, since we did a rule out myeloma. Let's choose an appropriate test and specify the material. And here is a note from the client to the lab staff. And then we submit the order. And since we may have more than one, it leaves us in the same place. Or if we want, we can go look at the current list. And it's been added at the bottom. There's the note. And we can say, there's the order we just did. Does the newest to oldest, and we can say, well, we wanted to add another test to that. Pick one at random. Now we've updated it, we can return to the list. And now there's a new waiting for approval test, and there's the test we added. If we want to know more about that test, we can jump into the laboratory manual. To see a bit about the test, though, we'd have to go to Laboratory Manual for real information, or the test list. If we wanted to know what ALK was, if we'd forgotten, that gives us a brief look at the same information. And now we've entered an order, and we've modified it, and we're waiting for the lab staff to approve it. And we can log in and see whether its status is, because once it's approved or released, it will move up to the top of the list. And that's how you enter an order.